Hello, welcome to the Mirage here in DCS World. Currently flying 4K on the AO server and just easing myself back into the cockpit. Had a really bad cold that's been going around, floored me for weeks. Just about getting over it, and you can see here that even though we're in 4K, we're live streaming. It runs really nice until every time somebody either loads in or changes skin. I've been flying here for about 10 minutes or so. Not entirely sure how long sort of need to be flying to sort of really catch up with the textures and everything. I've neglected DCS a little bit since, you know, not feeling well, so there's been you know, 2 or 3 updates. I did treat myself to the MB339 as well as the Mirage F1 for Christmas. It was a present to me from my housemate, and once again restoring every module in DCS thereby. Got the Kamov K3, but that's already owning the Kamov. That's was $10, which is basically free. If you use the DCS online store, you get the points for buying anything. $10 worth of points. Yeah, got me that for free. Taking those for a little spin. I thought I was going to really like the Mirage F1 because it's an afterburner and going fast and Cold War. Didn't think I was going to end up really liking the 339. And where is everybody, by the way? To my surprise, it was the other way around. I thought the MB339, credit to the people who made that, was really well made. The controls were really well thought out. The way it handles feels right. And the Mirage F1, the control layout, oh my goodness, those guys have got something to learn. It is the worst layout, and by what I mean by that is, I don't mean the cockpit layout. That is what it is. I'm on about the control settings. You know, it's maybe do a video on it at some point. And again, when we do a video to criticize, it's not just to have a good slagging off match. It's because, you know, there's this little idea that somebody might watch it and improve. So for example, I did that Flight Sim 2020 video where saying things that I, you know, I love and hate about this game. And 2 weeks after making that video, every issue that I made in that video about problems was resolved. Every single one. You could say that was a coincidence, or, you know, whatever. But I'd like to think, you know, that we can maybe repeat doing that again. Pop the chute out there here in the Mirage. Where is everybody? Oh shit, the Mirage doesn't go well when we're on grass. Where is everybody? If I can just keep it moving. And there we go, got away with that. Mirage is one of those, if you drive it on the grass or the snow, you lose it. Where is everybody? Let's hit F5. Somebody in there. All right, there we go. There we got Tomcat rolling out. Playboy. Oh, we got a Vig in. Oh, and a Tomcat waiting for me. Okay, let's get off the runway, not be annoying about it. How are we doing for fuel, by the way? 1.7, and we are of course in kilos being in the Mirage. I do like the Mirage. It was the first quote-unquote pro module I bought for DCS because it was back in a time when I started. There weren't many. Of course, it was back at a time where basically everybody flew FC3. Nobody flew helicopters. I mean, there were the 4 available, and yeah, that was a lonely thing back then. And then a little while later, and I'm talking like maybe a month or so after me starting to play DCS, the Harrier came out. And then everybody flew that for a while. See, somebody there on SRS. Oh, not really. Are these guys going to roll? We got a Vig in there. Not often you see people in the Vig in. Fun aircraft to fly. I did, of course, that tutorial on using the radar to fly through a valley at night. Of course, got the ground collision avoidance radar and works really well since the updates. Hey, that afterburner looks nice. Up he goes. Of course, the Tomcat's going to be able to outmaneuver that thing all day. The Viggen used to be the fastest plane in DCS slowdown. Used to, even outruns the F-15 lowdown. I don't know if that's still the case, but it certainly was 5 years ago. But of course, air-to-air is not its strong point. All right, let's go. Yes, certainly missed DCS. I really did. I missed everything. I was just laying in bed. What terrible. It's unbelievable. I was literally sleeping 20 hours a day at one point. Really had it really bad. All right, 3 guys, bit of fun. Used to hate people doing this, but you know what? I'm satisfied I'm not going to crash into them, so I'm not like the average nub that you sometimes get. This Mirage, do you know what? I'm going to share a little trick with this aircraft because it's got a real nice little trick up its sleeve that I'm imagining, if it's not already been banned on PvP type dogfight type servers, it's gonna be soon. But until that day, or maybe they've already done it, some players I'm sure know exactly the switch I'm talking about. Some I'm sure haven't a clue. Take a look at it in a minute and then we'll swap aircraft, because if you're low down it's basically certain death, but if you're high up and you've got somebody on your 6 and you hit that switch, it's basically a get out of jail for free card. You ever seen that MiG-21 fish bed do those crazy moves? It's kind of like that, but on steroids. So do you know what? That's enough talking about it. Let's have a little look. Do you know, I do love the Mirage. It's alright, sucks a bit that you ain't got your Fox 3 missiles, not to do with what my channel's called, but it's got its missile warning receiver. You do need your 2 magics on the wingtips to have the missile warning receiver work. You never used to do, which is weird, but you do now for some reason. Alright, quick controls check, because I need to make sure I'm pressing the right button. You can see here how insanely small this is, because it's obviously in 4K. It's ridiculous. Alright, let's go for it. So we open that switch there. Make sure we're not too fast, because we're going to rip the wings off. Alright, that'll do. I'll do an F3 view so everyone can see exactly what's going on. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey! Now, yeah, a little something I picked up back from days in Nam. I always find that expression funny. Alright, now there's a little bit of effort involved in recovering this because she's not happy. Alright, finally, we've got it. And let's have a view of that in the cockpit. Again, you see, if you lower down and you start doing that, you know, you need a, I don't know, want to call it, certainly 3,000 or 4,000 feet for recovery. I'll tell you what, game actually does seem to be running smoother now. I've been connected for a little while, so I do think there's something about loading things up for the first time. And again, if we have a little look, we can see there's what, about 25, 30 players online with every possible type of module, no restrictions. Let's hit it. Wow. I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't recall it always having that ability. And for those that don't know, I'm flicking this little switch right there. That's the one I'm doing. It's normally got a red cover on it. Oh, let's recover. Come on. Oh, no. I think that's the end of it. And that's why, yeah, you don't always want to use it, and use it sparingly. Make sure you're high up, and yeah, don't use it online in PvP, because that would be, yeah, well, you can see why not. All right. Let's select roll. Let's try one of the others. I'll tell you what, it's been ages since I've had a race around this dam. And I'm going to give it... Well, there's only one really, isn't there? There's only one choice if you're going for a race. Alright, here we go. Burners on then. The Sweet 16. Yeah, here we go. I know some people like to get a bit of a run up, but you know what, let's just go for it. Now there was a little bit of a lag at the worst time. I tell you what, this sunlight and the reflection and the sort of dirt in the canopy is making some of these a little harder to see than it needs to be. I'm sure those that know the course without having to pop up to look where all the masts are, you know, I'm probably laughing at this, but we'll try and get them. Yeah, look how small the text is. So this is, I have to say guys, having flown 4K since getting this graphics card, and then of course I got ill, a real big disadvantage is how small the text is, and you can see there top right, it's virtually unreadable. Oh, we're going to miss that one. Never mind. I think you can miss a couple of gates until you get disqualified. I remember racing up this little valley. That sun, man, blinding. Tell you what, DCS has done a real good job now. You can see why, you know, pilots attacking out the sun in World War II and stuff like that, why, you know, that's basically an essential requirement. I'm wanting to do a bit of a video on Eric Hartman at some point, and, you know, the greatest fighter race of all time. And that's what he used to do. He used to hide up in the sun when there was an engagement already unfolding. And he would spend a bit of time up there picking his target, usually someone that was separated, and then he would dive down. Oh shit, I've missed that one. Bit of practice still needed. Right, okay, big right hand turn coming up.
Altitude.
Brakes are out, brakes are out. And here it comes. Burners on. Boards in, or air brakes in. Don't think you can class them as boards on this. Sort of little flappy things that fold out at the back. I don't know, maybe you do call them boards, who knows. By the way, this is the Aerobatics online server. This race course, a lot of fun. I don't know why more people do it. Sometimes you'll come on and there'll be like a whole bunch of people flying it, and then other times, like now, you know, you won't see anyone on it for days. Oh shit. Balls that up good and proper, didn't I? I think this is a DQ now.
Altitude. Altitude.
Of course, I could swing round. Yeah, there we go. DQ. Alright. I'll tell you what, I'm still going to carry on just for the sake of practice, because it's been so long since I've done this. And yeah, the F-15, I think the last time I flew this, the F-16 was very different in its handling. They've improved this an awful lot, I have to say.
Altitude.
The way that the F-16 used to handle when it came out was a bit of a joke, really, wasn't it? And thankfully, they have improved it an awful lot. You used to get the usual suspects singing its praises, even though it was, you know... It was pants, wasn't it? I mean, obviously now there's nothing... Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because that comes close, because in PvP, you know, if it's air to air and you want to win, this is the way to go, right? Unless there's some real specific setup where you can be sneaky down in the weeds and whatnot, and then of course, at least for me, the Hornet is still the aircraft of choice if that's the way to go. I mean, especially if you can, you know, get creative with your radar and data link and helmet and... Alright, let's make a run for the end then. I realise we're dequalified, but regardless.
Altitude.
Obviously the radar is one that you want to shut up as well, ideally, if you've got a bit of time before the race starts. And yeah, so you can't floor it down there because we'd miss 2 or 3 of those turns, but I kick the burners back on now. And I have to say, for a 4K game, I mean, but you know, for those not aware, this game runs completely smooth in 4K by yourself anyway, unless you have like the most complex of, you know, if you like spam down 100 SAM sites all across the map, then of course it's going to lag. Now, hopefully, you know, Eagle Dynamics announced they're going to add multi-threading support for the mission side of it to allow for more complex missions, and you know, can't wait for that stuff to come through. But until it does, you know, and that's one thing that's really held DCS back, because you can see graphics wise it is capable of doing it. It just requires, you know, it requires the multi-threading oomph to be able to allow for these insane graphics to be realized on a real big complex mission. These oversimplified missions that have to be deliberately unrealistic in order to, you know, allow for this, you know, has been a complaint of many for a long time. The so-called, you know, it feels like it's sterile, like it's not alive, you know, all of those comments. All right, one last spin. Do you know what? It's time for a Warbird now. I fancy starting one up. I really enjoy the Warbirds. It's one of the most rewarding aircraft, I think, to learn how to fly and master. Where are we here? Right, so here we go. P-47, of course, requires